Much like Charles Fort, John Keel was an American author who chronicled the unexplained, particularly UFOs. His most noted book, The Mothman Prophecies, was made into a major motion picture during the 90s. John Keel is arguably one of the most widely read and influential UFOologists since the early 1970s. It was Keel's second book, UFOs, Operation Trojan Horse, that alerted the general public that many aspects of contemporary UFO reports, including humanoid encounters, often paralleled certain ancient folklore and religious encounters. Keel also argues that there is a direct relationship between UFOs and psychic phenomena. He says he does not call himself a ufologist and prefers the term Fortean, which encompasses a wide range of paranormal subjects. The interdimensional hypothesis, IDH or IH, is an idea advanced by ufologists such as Jacques Vallée that says unidentified flying objects, UFOs, and related events involve visitations from other realities or dimensions that coexist separately alongside our own. It is an alternative to the extraterrestrial hypothesis, ETH. IDH, interdimensional hypothesis, also holds that UFOs are a modern manifestation of a phenomenon that has occurred throughout recorded human history, which in prior ages were ascribed to mythical or supernatural creatures. Although ETH has remained the predominant explanation for UFOs by ufologists, some ufologists have abandoned it in favor of IDH. Paranormal researchers Brad Steger wrote that we are dealing with multidimensional paraphysical phenomenon that is largely indigenous to the planet Earth. Other ufologists, such as John Ankerberg and John Weldon, advocate IDH because it fits the explanation of UFOs as a spiritualist phenomenon. Commenting on the disparity between the ETH and the accounts that people have made of UFO encounters, Ankerberg and Weldon wrote, "The UFO phenomenon simply does not behave like extraterrestrial visitors." In the book UFOs, Operation Trojan Horse, published in 1970, John Keel linked UFOs to folkloric or supernatural concepts such as ghosts and demons. The development of IDH as an alternative to ETH increased in the 1970s and 80s with the publication of books by Vallée and J. Allen Hynek. In 1975, Vallée and Hynek advocated the hypothesis in Edge of Reality, a progress report on unidentified flying objects, and further, in Vallée's 1979 book, Messengers of Deception, UFO, Contacts, and Cults. Some proponents accepted IDH because the distance between stars makes interstellar travel impractical using conventional means, and nobody had demonstrated an anti-gravity or faster-than-light travel hypothesis that could explain extraterrestrial machines. With IDH, it is unnecessary to explain any propulsion method because IDH holds that UFOs are not spacecraft, but rather devices that travel between different realities. One advantage of IDH, proffered by Hilary Evans, is its ability to explain the apparent ability of UFOs to appear and disappear from sight and radar. This is explained as the UFO entering and leaving our dimension, materializing and dematerializing, if you will. Moreover, Evans argues that if the other dimension is slightly more advanced than ours, or is our own future, this would explain the UFO's tendency to represent near-future technologies, airships in the 1890s, rockets and supersonic travel in the 40s, etc. IDH has also been a causative factor in establishing UFO religion. Ultraterrestrial is a term coined by John Keel in the 1970s to refer to technologically and scientifically advanced sentients who supersede human civilizations. Ultraterrestrials are said to be living amongst humans since the dawn of time. Unlike extraterrestrials, they do not come from another star system, but rather from Earth. They may either be a different branch of biological evolution or a certain human culture that unexplainably has evolved much faster than others. John Keel has relied on the theory of ultraterrestrials to explain the mystery airships of 1896. From demons and fairies to UFOs and Bigfoot, tales of the unexplained have been a part of humanity's story since the beginning. Ancient alien theorists will look at the Bible and chalk up every bizarre event to aliens, while a religious scholar may look at contemporary alien abductions as manifestations of demons. Bigfoot and other cryptids have a strange habit of showing up near UFO sightings, and those who encounter either of these phenomena often discover newfound psychic abilities. Could there be a common cause that explains all paranormal events? One of the most famous sustained paranormal experiences is the Mothman incident of 1966. For 13 months, Point Pleasant, West Virginia, was plagued with sightings of a bizarre winged humanoid accompanied by mysterious lights in the sky, animal mutilations, and other accounts of paranormal activity. Journalist John Keel famously documented this prolonged period of unusual events in his book, The Mothman Prophecies, which was later made into a film of the same name. These simultaneous events were not new to Keel. He often wrote of window areas, specific locations on our planet where paranormal events were far more likely and even expected to occur. For experiencers and believers of the paranormal, the greatest frustration often lies in the lack of abundant physical evidence. A few landing marks here, a bit of fur there, and even the occasional photograph don't seem to be enough to convince the skeptics. After decades of researching such cases, Keel developed an elegant hypothesis, which explains the troublesome disparity between excessive testimony and scarce physical evidence. His book, The Eighth Tower, written at the same time as the Mothman Prophecies, proposes a sort of unified theory to explain all paranormal events. These entities are able to shift up and down the electromagnetic spectrum, appearing and disappearing as they please. He called this superspectrum and referred to this the superspectrum and referred to the beings inhabiting it as ultraterrestrials. This could explain the variety of electromagnetic effects often associated with paranormal events. Cars stall, widespread power outages occur, radios and telephones go crazy, and battery-operated devices refuse to work. Clocks and watches have been known to stop in the presence of UFOs, monsters, and ghosts. Keel believes these beings are native to the Earth, which explains their manifestation in different forms throughout the ages, but that they inhabit physical dimensions beyond normal human perception. This theory fits with scientific understanding of our understandings of how our brains perceive the world around us. It is well known that our senses are only equipped to pick up very small slice of physical activity. Dogs, cats, and other animals are able to hear audio frequencies we cannot. Is it simply coincidence that they seem to have a sixth sense? for the paranormal? Pet psychologist Marty Miller has said, "Sensing the supernatural is natural for dogs because they don't judge it. People could see auras or spirits, but they either don't believe they exist or that if they do exist, we could not see them. Furthermore, our sensory organs are constantly capturing far more information than our brains can process. One of the most critical functions of the brain's sensory response is filtering out information that it deems unnecessary. Pattern recognition plays a large role in this process. When you see something that looks like a tree, your brain acknowledges the general shape of a tree and quickly creates the idea of a tree. But what happens when you observe something that fits no recognized pattern? What we pay attention to is largely determined by our expectations of what should be present, said Christopher Chabris, a cognitive psychologist, in an interview with the New York Times. Without expecting something, we're unlikely to pay attention to it, he says. When we are not paying attention to something, we are surprisingly likely to not see it. This could also explain the common motif described by Keel and many other researchers, that when you start studying these phenomena, they begin to reflect back, occurring with more regularity and even responding to your thoughts. It seems that once your brain recognizes these phenomena and begins paying attention to them, your odds of glimpsing them improve. In the 1960s, writer Gustav Davidson was compiling a massive book of historical accounts called Dictionary of Angels. Davidson had never had a paranormal experience before, but during his writing, he was literally bedeviled by angels. Participants growing in the CE5 movement go one step further, intentionally working to summon this sort of contact. A close encounter of the fifth kind refers to an experience in which someone interacts in a purposeful way with an unidentified flying object or its inhabitants. Some ufologists, most notably Dr. Stephen Greer, have developed protocols for intentionally initiating contact with these beings, believing that a focused meditation can promote contact with nearby beings. Practitioners claim a surprising level of success with these protocols, producing all manner of documentation showing strange lights and other manifestations during CE5 meditations. Could it be that we are constantly surrounded by these ultraterrestrials, and our focused attention is all that is necessary to perceive them? Of course, there is the possibility that the existence of paranormal entities throughout history could be chalked up to Jung's theory of the collective unconscious, revealing itself through vividly overactive imaginations. Or could we be living in a densely populated, multidimensional planet alongside beings who have interacted with us for centuries, leaving little trace within our own narrow perception of reality? So that was just a few quick readings about the ultraterrestrial theory. And I want to thank you guys for listening and sticking around. Some of you guys may be trying to go to sleep. Others just want to listen to some stuff about aliens and conspiracies. Whatever you're up to. Whatever floats your boat. Thanks for checking it out. And I will see you guys next time. Be sure to like this video and subscribe. And leave a comment below if you have any other topics you'd like to hear me ramble about for a while. Thanks.